everyone, welcome to TriRide. This is PART-165, myself Srija. So today you are going to learn about the anatomy and physiology of the nervous system. So nervous system is also called as the control and communication system of the human body. So introduction to nervous system. So what is nervous system? It's like the control and communication network of a body. It works just like a mobile network that sends and receives messages but inside our body. So it receives the information from around us, like what we see, what we hear, or what we feel. It processes the information in the brain and then it sends the instructions to the rest of the body to act. For example, when you touch something hot, the nerves send a message to the brain and the brain quickly sends a message back to your hand to move away. So this nervous system helps us to think. It means use our brain to understand the things. So it helps us to move, to control our muscles. It helps us to feel, nothing but to experience the touch, pain or temperature. And it also helps us to respond. Respond in the sense, react to changes inside or outside the body. So here this is the picture of the nervous system. The nervous system is spread throughout our body. It consists of two main parts. What are they? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system, it is a main control center. It consists of cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla and spinal cord. Whereas peripheral nervous system, these are the nerves that branch out from the spinal cord to all the body parts, including the hands, legs, skin and organs. So in simple words, the diagram shows how the brain, spinal cord and nerves work together, just like an electric circuit to control everything we do, from breathing to running, thinking or even the blinking. So divisions of the nervous system. The nervous system is divided into two main parts, right? One is central nervous system, the other is peripheral nervous system. So this central nervous system, it includes brain, spinal cord. This function, the function of central nervous system is to act as a control center of the body. So the brain here, it receives and processes the information, it stores the information and also it makes the decisions. Whereas spinal cord, it carries the messages between the brain and body and controls the reflex actions. So the central nervous system, it thinks, decides and controls everything we do. So coming to peripheral nervous system, it includes all the nerves outside the brain and spinal cord. So what is the function of the peripheral nervous system? It acts as a communication line between the CNS and rest of the body. So it carries the messages to and from the brain. So the peripheral nervous system, it is again divided into the somatic nervous system and automatic nervous system. So somatic nervous system, what does this nervous system do? It controls the voluntary movements. Voluntary movements means the actions we can control like walking or writing. It also works through motor neurons that send signals from the brain to the muscles. For example, deciding to raise your hand. So when you decide to raise your hand, the somatic nervous system, it controls the body. So next coming to the autonomous nervous system. This controls the involuntary activities. So what do you mean by involuntary activities? The actions we cannot control, which are out of our control, which are not in hands, like heartbeat, digestion and breathing. So it is divided into two parts. What are they? Sympathetic division and parasympathetic division. So the sympathetic division, it prepares the body for stressful or energetic activities or for emergency situations. So this increases the heartbeat, it increases the breathing and also the alertness. So when you are scared or running away from danger, the sympathetic division plays the role. So coming to parasympathetic division. So this works when the body gets relaxed. So it slows the heart rate and also helps with the digestion and energy storage. For example, when you are calm and resting after eating, parasympathetic division gets the role played. So this sympathetic division, it is also called as fight or flight division, whereas parasympathetic, it is called as rest and digest division. So now let's talk into each and every system, each and every division briefly. Start with the central nervous system. So what do you mean by central nervous system? It is the main control center of a body. So what does it controls? Everything we do, our thoughts, emotions, movements and body actions like heartbeat and breathing. So the central nervous system, it is made up of the brain and spinal cord. So how it works? The brain receives the information from our sense organs like eyes, ears, skin, etc. So if then process the information and decides what to do. Then the spinal cord acts like a messenger highway carrying signals between the brain and rest of the body. So for example, when you touch something hot, the signal goes to your spinal cord and then to brain and then back to your hand, telling it to move away quickly. So this is the picture of the central nervous system over here. It shows the main parts, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the brainstem again consists of midbrain, pons and medulla and also the spinal cord. So in simple words, the central nervous system, it acts like a computer system. So the brain is the CPU over here. It makes all the decisions. The spinal cord is a cable. It sends and receives messages to and from rest of the body. So next, the introduction to brain. Let's talk about brain. The brain is the control center of the nervous system. So it receives the information from our senses, like what we see, what we hear, what we taste or what we feel. So then it processes it and it makes decisions and it sends to commands to rest of the body. So what it controls? It controls thoughts and memory, emotions, movements, balance, breathing and also heart rate. So the brain tells every part of the body so what to do. It's like the body's boss. So there are three major divisions of the brain. Brain is divided into three main parts. What are there? Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. So forebrain is also called as prosencephalon. So midbrain is also called as mesencephalon and hindbrain is called as rhombencephalon. Here you can see the picture of the parts of the brain. Cerebrum, which is divided into four lobes: frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and also the temporal lobe. So the cerebrum, the colored upper part, it is divided into four lobes, right? Frontal lobe, it is used for thinking, planning, and movement, whereas parietal lobe, it is used for touch, temperature, and pain, and temporal lobe, it is used for hearing and memory, and occipital lobe, it is used for vision. So the forebrain, it's the largest part of the brain. It controls thinking, learning, memory, emotions, and also the involuntary movements. So it also includes the cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. So when coming to midbrain, it is also called as mesencephalon. It acts as a bridge between forebrain and hindbrain. So this controls the eye movements, reflexes, and responses to the sounds. For example, turning your head when you hear your name. That's your midbrain in action. So hindbrain, this rhombocephalon. So it controls the basic life functions that happen automatically. So this includes cerebellum, which helps with balance and coordination. It also includes the pons. It connects the different parts of the brain and it helps with the breathing. It also consists of the medulla oblongata. It controls the heartbeat, breathing and digestion. So even while you sleep, your hindbrain keeps you breathing. So in simple words, the forebrain helps you to think, midbrain helps you to react, and hindbrain keeps you alive. So now let's talk about the forebrain. So what is the forebrain? It's the largest and most developed part of the brain. So it helps us to do all our thinking, reasoning, feeling, remembering, and voluntary actions. Voluntary actions are nothing but the things we control, like walking or talking. So the forebrain helps us to think, to decide, and act. So it is divided into cerebrum. Again, the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. So this cerebrum, it makes up about 80% of total brain weight. So the cerebrum is divided into two halves again, which are called as hemispheres, right and left hemispheres. Though this right and left hemispheres, they are connected by the corpus callosum. You can clearly see over here in the picture, corpus callosum. So the right hemisphere, it controls the left side of the body, and left hemisphere, it controls the right side of the body. So the surface of the cerebrum has many folds. You can see the folds. So these are called as gyri, and also the groups called as sulci, central sulcus. You can see over here in the picture. So this helps it to increase its surface area. So after increasing the surface area, what does it do? It allows more neurons and better brain function. And cerebral cortex. So what is cerebral cortex? It is the outer gray layer of the cerebrum. So it is made up of neuronal cell bodies, the bodies which are the parts of the brain cells that process the information. So this is responsible for higher brain function such as thinking and reasoning, learning and memory, decision making, speech and emotions. So when you solve a puzzle, they remember a friend's name or plan what to do. So that's your cerebral cortex at work. So when you look at the diagram, the cerebrum covers the top and sides of the brain. So it's the largest and wrinkled part. It's split into the right and left hemispheres. So the surface folds covers the top and sides of the brain. It's the largest and wrinkled part. So the surface folds gyri and roofs sulci are clearly visible. So the corpus callosum, it lies inside and connects both halves for the communication. So the forebrain, it especially the cerebrum, is what makes humans intelligent. So it helps us to think, to learn, to feel emotion, and also to make the decisions. So all the things that make us who we are. So next, white matter and cerebral lobes. So what is the white matter? The white matter is the inner part of the brain. So this is made up of myelinated nerve fibers. So these are the nerve fibers which are covered with a fatty layer called myelin. So these myelin fibers, they helps to messages travel quickly between the different parts of the brain. So think of it like the writing system of the brain. So it connects all the areas so they can communicate efficiently. So gray matter is nothing but where thinking happens. White matter is nothing but where messages travel. So what are the cerebral lobes and their function? So you all know that the cerebrum is divided into four main lobes. So what are they? You can clearly see in the picture. The frontal lobe, the orange color one is frontal lobe, the green color one temporal lobe, the blue color one parietal lobe, and the yellow color one occipital lobe. So each and every lobe has a different location and it performs a major function. So let's talk about it. Frontal lobe. So it is located in the front part of the brain. So what is the major function of the front part of the brain? This is responsible for the thinking, planning, problem solving, speech, and also the movement. So it also controls the personality and the behavior. So next, after the frontal lobe, it's a parietal lobe. So it is located at the upper middle part of the brain. So this handles the sensory perception like touch, temperature, and also the pain. This also helps in the spatial awareness. So nothing but knowing where your body is in the space. So next to parietal lobe, it's a temporal lobe. It is situated in the side of the brain near the ears. So what is the function of the temporal lobe? It controls hearing, memory, and also the understanding of the language. So the occipital lobe. So it is situated at the back of the brain. So it is responsible for the vision and visual interpretation. It helps you to understand what you see. So to help to easily remember these things, you can make a sentence like forward people take observations. So forward people take observations. So each starting letter gives you the each lobe meaning. Forward, F is for frontal lobe. So P, people, P for parietal, and take, T for touch, or T for temporal lobe, and observation O for occipital lobe. So you can remember this in the easier way. This is about the cerebral lobes and their function. And then coming to the diencephalon. It is the another part of the brain. So it is located below the cerebrum and above the brainstem. So what it does, it acts as a connection link between the brain's higher and lower regions. So what are the main parts and the functions of the diencephalon? Thalamus, hypothalamus and epithalamus. So what is the main function of thalamus? It acts as a relay station for all sensory information except smell. So this receives sensory signals like touch, pain, sight, sound, and sends them to the cerebral cortex for processing. For example, when you touch something hot, the thalamus helps to pass the signal to the part of the brain that makes you to feel pain. So coming to the hypothalamus, it controls the body temperature, it controls the hunger, thirst and emotions. It also helps to regulate the sleep hormones and endocrine system activity. So it maintains the homeostasis, the body's internal balance. For example, if you notices you sweat when your hormones and endocrine system activity, so it makes you sweat when you are hot or shiver and when you are cold. And then epithalamus is also called as pineal gland. So what it does, it secretes the melatonin, the hormone that controls your sleep wake cycle, for example biological clock. So it helps you to feel sleepy at night and awake during the day. So this image, it shows the parts of the diencephalon. So right and left thalamus, hypothalamus and the pineal gland. So this right and left thalamus, they relay centers for the sensory signals. So hypothalamus is situated just below the thalamus. It controls the temperature and also the hormones. Coming to pineal gland, epithalamus. It's a small gland at the back producing the melatonin. So this is about the forebrain. So coming to midbrain. So this midbrain, it lies between the forebrain and hindbrain. So it acts as a bridge connecting the two major parts of the brain. So what are the functions of the midbrain? It controls the reflexes related to the vision and hearing, like turning your head towards a sudden sound or bright light. It also helps to coordinate the movement, especially of the eye and head. So it plays a role in maintaining the posture and also the muscle tone. So what are the important structures of the midbrain? Tectum and cerebral peduncles. So what do you mean by tectum? What is the function of tectum? It controls the visual and auditory reflexes. For example, blinking at bright light or reacting to a loud noise is a function of the tectum structure. So coming to cerebral peduncles. So what is the function? It connects the motor areas of the cerebrum with the spinal cord. It helps in sending the movement signals from brain to the body. So next, coming to the hindbrain. Hindbrain is also called as rhomboencephalon. So where it is located? It is located between the midbrain and continues down into the spinal cord. So what are the functions of hindbrain? It controls vital involuntary functions that keep you alive. So what are the vital involuntary functions? So it may be breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, balance and also the coordination. So what are the major parts of the hindbrain? Cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. So what does cerebellum do? It maintains the balance, posture and also coordination of the movements. Whereas pons, it acts as a bridge between different parts of the brain and it helps to control the breathing. Whereas medulla oblongata, it controls the vital centers like heart rate, respiration and blood pressure. It also connects directly to the spinal cord. So in short, you can remember about midbrain means movement and reflexes, whereas hindbrain, heart, breathing and balance. So this is all about today's session. In the next session, you are going to learn about the hindbrain and also the spinal cord anatomy and physiology. Thank you.